All right, let's get this started. Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good. We got a nice little, well, not little, big. Excited.
Yeah, before we jump into today's slate, I wanted to ask you what you thought about yesterday's games. The chalk kind of, all the chalk busted. It was a nice little, I guess, Christmas gift. All of my players on DraftKings had a little snowflake.
I saw that. That's a good one. Yeah, there were a bunch of blowouts, which was surprising. So, be surprised with that outcome. About the NFL game today, a lot of blowouts.
Yeah, I guess start of the season probably get a bit better. I was hoping for some better games yesterday, but I'll take them. They were still good to have NBA back, so I'm not complaining.
We have a few tight spreads today. Be
Okay. Yeah, let's go over the first game then. Orlando, Washington. In terms of injuries, we could just go over Orlando first. They just have James Ennis out right now. And then for the starters right now, we have Markelle Fultz, Fournier, Gordon, Bacon, and Vucevic. Do you like any of these guys today? What do you think of the high-end guys? Vucevic, how do you like him? Gordon had a good game last game. What do you think?
Yeah, so this game is a good game with the highest total. So it was projected 150. Well, obviously projected high on the high end. So I like Vucevic a lot. I think he's better on DraftKings.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but we'll Fanduel, yeah, I really like
Vucevic. Got it. Okay. And then for Washington, there's no one's hurt there. Everyone's in. Looks like we have Westbrook, Beal, Bonga, Bryant, and Avdia? Denny. Yeah, what do you think of Westbrook today? Do you think he'll be high owned or how do you?
So this is like one of the best games to target. Washington has 17 projected total, which is tight. It's tight. So the high end said Westbrook. We're actually waiting. Supposed to be resting Flex here. They don't know if he's resting here tomorrow yet. So lucky that's the thing. This will know, and then if he's out, we're definitely gonna have to get more Washington guys in.
Yep.
If he's in, I don't mind him. Like I'm talking about, it's the best games on the plate. So always has triple. I like him.
Yep.
Has a lot of upside. Building
All right. Wait, hold up before you go on to cut you off. Apparently, you're having some audio issues with your mic. I don't have any. Yeah, a little quiet and cutting in and out. Maybe just move it a bit closer. I don't have any filters on for you. Just put it right up to your mouth. I think that'll fix it. Maybe a bit higher. Huh? Yeah, we could just go over Washington one more time, but maybe move it a bit closer if you can. It should be better. Yeah, let us know in the chat if it's better, guys. Yeah, just go over Washington again, so everyone can hear.
Do the whole thing again, or just?
Yeah. Let's just do it because we just started. Yeah, go over Orlando. Who do you like there, and why? You said you like this game, so I guess you can go over why you like the game again, and then you can just jump into Washington after that.
Yeah. So this game has red. Popping out.
Apparently, Can't.
Not better?
No, apparently not. 1 sec. Try saying something now.
Hello?
Is
Hello?
that better,
Hello?
guys? I think that's better.
It's probably not.
No, I think it's better now. Yeah, now it's good. Okay. We're good.
Now it's better?
Yeah, technical
there-
difficulties. It's our, what is it, third show? Fourth show.
Yeah. Was there a noise gate?
No, there wasn't, but I think that was on my end. I had the wrong audio output, but it's good now.
Okay, so we could just start all over again then. So,
Let's see.
hello everyone. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to the YouTube. Give us a like; it helps a lot. Yeah. So yesterday's slate wasn't the best slate. We had a lot of blowouts, even though the games were projected to be close. Yeah. Let's get into today's slate, I guess.
Yeah, I think everyone heard me. They just didn't hear you. I think you were completely muted. Okay, yeah, let's go over. Everyone knows the starters now. We've gone over them twice, I think, but they never heard you. So, third time, why do you like this game? And who are your favorite players here? Both teams.
So we'll start on Orlando. So this game has the highest over-under of the entire slate, and the spread is tight. So it's one that we want to target as a whole. On Orlando, the high-end guy that stands out for me is Vucevic, just because he's always their main guy. He always shoots the most shots on their team. His usage is high. Down low, there's not really much value on this team, but in the mid-range, there's Gordon, Fultz, Fournier, who I don't mind. Yeah, so that does that for the Magic. And then on Washington, we'll start with the high-end guys, I guess. So Russ is the big question mark here, Russell Westbrook. He's projected to sit on back-to-backs this season. That's what Coach Brooks said. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, see if he's in or out. If he's in, I like him. I don't mind him in cash, but he's probably not going to make my team on either site. For GPPs, I don't mind him. Obviously, he has triple-double upside. I think I like him more on DraftKings just because of his price, and we can fit him in multiple positions, not just point guard like Fanduel.
Yeah.
Bradley Beal, I don't mind him. Like I said, this team has a projected score of 117, which is one of the highest on the slate. So I like Beal. If Westbrook was out, Beal's probably going to be a lock. He's going to be on both of my teams on both sites.
Yeah.
But as of now, I don't have much interest just because Westbrook has the ball in his hands so much. For value, I don't mind Bertans on FanDuel. He's only 4-5. He had a bit of a minutes limit last game, but he shot the ball really well in his minutes. Yeah, I think that pretty much does it for this game. I really like it just because of the over-under and tight spread.
Yep. Okay. Noted. One of your favorite games. Okay, let's jump into the next game. We have Oklahoma against Charlotte. Right now for OKC, I don't think there's anyone notable out for them. And for their starters right now, we have Gilgeous-Alexander, Hill, Baisley, Dort, and Horford. How do you like this team today? What do you think?
So this team is one of the two teams that we haven't seen play yet, them and the Rockets. So it's kind of hard to predict, but the team total for them is 108. So compared to the last game, they were 115 and 117. So you can tell that it's projected to be a lower scoring game from Vegas. So in the high end, I like SGA. Obviously, no more CP3. So a lot of usage going to SGA now. And just because this team is sort of new, it's hard to project them.
Yep.
But they do have really nice prices on DraftKings. So SGA, Al Horford, and George Hill even, he's a little too cheap for me on DraftKings. I really like them as cash building blocks just because their bench isn't too strong, so we expect their starters to get pretty good minutes. It's a decent matchup against Charlotte. Although the total is a little low, I still think that just because they have a lot of minutes and these guys are underpriced for their roles, I think they'll pop. Darius Baisley, he was really good in the bubble last season. He's only 5K on Fanduel, which I really like. I think he was popping in some of my builds earlier for cash, just because he has steal and block upside as well. Yeah, other than those guys, I don't think there's too much here.
Do you think there's any mispriced, like big misprices today on OKC since we haven't seen them play yet?
Yeah, so I do think that Al Horford is a little too cheap. I think that SGA, just because we project his usage to be so high now, I like him more on FanDuel, but I like him on both sites. George Hill on DraftKings 3.4, so only 400 over the minimum. I like that. I think that's a bit of a misprice.
Yeah, he's quite a bit more on FanDuel, 5K.
Yeah, so he's probably like $1,000 too cheap. So I think he was popping in a lot of my builds earlier. Yeah, he's in every one of my top 10 builds right now. So on DraftKings, just because of the price and projected minutes floor, it makes a lot of sense. Al Horford, obviously, I think he's probably a little too cheap. I don't mind him as a last piece, but I'm not trying to jam him in.
Okay. And then on the Charlotte side, I guess there's nobody out there really that matters too much. The starters right now, we have projected starters: Graham, Rozier, Hayward, Washington, and Biyombo. What do you make of the Charlotte Hornets? What did you think of Ball last game he played?
So Ball didn't look too good. He didn't get a lot of minutes, so there's not really interest here for DFS. But the big thing here is Cody Zeller's out. I think he broke his hand, so he's going to be out for a month or so.
Oh yeah.
So Bismack Biyombo is stepping in. He's still priced as a backup. So I never really loved playing Bismack, but just for his price, I don't mind him. I'm not trying to jam him in. I'm not trying to make him a core piece of my lineup, but if he's the last piece, I don't mind him.
Yep.
Hayward looked good in his first game. He had a lot of usage. He took how many shots did he take? I think he took 18 shots. So he was looking like Utah Hayward, which is nice to see because he's the main guy now. I like his price on FanDuel. He's 7.2, which is probably a little too cheap for me. Obviously Rozier had the huge game. He had like 10 threes last game. He went 10 for 12 or something. So he was absolutely on fire. We were talking about his price last time. He was 4.6. And I think you asked me how should he be priced? I said around 6K, so now he's 6.4 on FanDuel. So it's not a price that stands out to me, but it's something that, like, if he gets hot, he can get there, but I wouldn't chase the game log just because LaMelo could step in. If he has a better game, DG could get it going. Yeah.
Do you know how many minutes LaMelo played last game? He didn't do too well, right? Do you think his minutes got cut because of that, or just because he's a rookie and how the game played out?
He played 16 minutes, so I think some of it had to do with how he was playing, but some of it also had to do with how well Terry Rozier was playing.
Yeah, definitely. And about Bismack Biyombo, I probably like him at the minimum price just because he's a former Raptor, so I like my former Raptors, especially in GPP, just because they're former Raptors.
Yeah.
Let's get into the Cleveland game at Detroit.
So while we're waiting, I just want to say, if you guys could give us a thumbs up on the video, it helps a lot. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe. It also helps a lot.
Yeah, this is some good DFS content from us here. Chris is a pretty solid player, so it's good to hear from him before you guys make your lineups. Okay, so on the Cleveland side, we can go over Cleveland first. Right now, who do we have out there? We have Exum is probable, Matthew Dellavedova out, Kevin Love probable. I don't know if Kevin Porter gets a lot of minutes, but he's also out. And then
Yeah.
for the starters right now, we have Sexton, Garland, Coro, Kevin Love, maybe, and Drummond. What do you think of Cleveland today?
So the big news here is Kevin Love is probable. In the first game, he was out, so that's why we had a lot of Drummond in our lineups. So this game, he's projected to be in right now. So up top, as my spend ups, I don't really love Drummond here in this spot, just because Love is back. Obviously, it's a revenge game if you're into that sort of thing. He's
Narrative.
8-4 on Fanduel again, and he's probably too much on DraftKings. He's 9-2. Other guys on the Cavs, I don't think there's too much up top. I probably wouldn't target Drummond as my main guy just because they have a projected scoring total of 106, which doesn't really line up with what we want for DFS. For value guys on this team, I don't really see anyone that stands out. Sexton and Garland, I don't mind if you want to take a shot in GPPs, but in cash games, I don't want to touch anyone here.
Okay, and then on the Detroit side, we have, I guess, no one notable there out. And there for the starters right now, we have Hayes, Delon Wright, Grant, Blake Griffin, and Plumley. What do you think of these guys? And do you like Griffin today? What did you think of him last game?
I didn't really catch much of the game, but I think he played well. He played 35 minutes, which is the key thing here. That's all we really want when we play Blake. We just want the minutes because we know he can get there with them. They don't really have any high-end guys on this team price-wise, so I don't mind Blake. Like I usually say, I'm not going to target him in my cash games. If he's the last piece, I don't mind it, but I don't think he will be just because this is a low-scoring game. Detroit is projected to score 107, so I don't really want to target anyone here. Mason Plumley, I think he has a decent price on DraftKings. Yeah, he's 4.8, so a lot better than 5.9 on FanDuel. He played well his first game there. He played 32 minutes. He got 32 fantasy points.
Yep.
So I don't mind him on DraftKings. I actually had him in my build earlier today. If he's in my build as last piece, I don't mind it. Anyone else here? Josh Jackson, he looked good his first game. He's probably a good GPP target if you think he can keep that up. Other than that, I don't think there's anyone I'm looking at.
Okay. Jump into the next game, Philadelphia against New York. Open that up. Okay. Okay, yeah. So we can go over New York first. Right now, we have Austin Rivers out, and Obi Toppin is doubtful today, and Spellman out. For their starters right now, we have Hayden Barrett, who had a really good game already this season. Bullock, Randall, and Robinson. Do you like any of the players here today?
Do we know if Quickly is in or out? Did we get that news? I don't think you mentioned him.
Quickly?
He was doubtful earlier.
Doubtful, yeah. Still doubtful.
Yeah, so Quickly and Rivers are out. So I like Elfrid Payton. He's only 5.2 on FanDuel, which is nice because if he gets the minutes, we always like to target him. He's 5.2, 5.2K on FanDuel. This game is pretty ugly from a Vegas projection standpoint. The Knicks are projected to score 104. The spread is 8, so it could be a blowout, but I'm not banking on that. So my main target here is Elfrid Payton just because he's a little too cheap with Quickly projected to be out and Rivers out. I think he has a floor of probably 30 minutes, which is pretty nice. He's always been a good fantasy point per minute guy.
Yep.
Alec Burks had the big game on what day was that? I think it was Friday, I believe, opening night. He's always a good target in GPPs just because he can score 25 real points. but he can also score 2 points. So that's the big problem with him. There's not really anyone else that stands out outside of Peyton here.
Okay, and then Philadelphia, nobody out. Right now we have projected starters: Ben Simmons, Curry, Harris, Green, and Embiid. Do you like Embiid today? Do you like Simmons today? Any good cheap plays here?
So on the high end, Embiid and Simmons, I don't like them today just because they're playing the Knicks. It's an 8-point spread, the lowest or second lowest over under of the slate. They're projected to score 112, but I don't really want to target them when we have guys like Harden later on, guys like Dame. So I don't have interest in these two guys. For value, there's not really anyone here that stands out to me. Maybe Seth Curry you can take a shot on, but there's not really much here. Do you think you would have any interest in these guys if you're building GPP?
On the Sixers?
Yeah.
Probably not. I don't think so.
Yeah, so I think they're a little too expensive.
Yeah, maybe like Simmons for GPP. Wouldn't mind him. But yeah, probably not a priority for me.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go into this next game. We have Indiana against Chicago. Just open that up. Go over Indiana first. Edmund Sumner is questionable. Not sure how much that matters. And then right now for their starters, we have projected Brogdon, Oladipo, Warren, Sabonis, and Turner. How do you like Indiana? And do you think we'll see bubble Warren again? Because he was so good.
No, I don't think we'll see bubble Warren. I don't like Warren at all, especially now that they have everyone back except for Lamb. His price went down a bit. He's not someone that I want, though. Anyways, the main guy here is Domantas Sabonis. I think he put up 32 and 13 last game. He's a little too cheap for me on DraftKings at 8.5.
Mm-hmm.
So he's someone that I'm probably going to fit into my cash build just because he's too cheap. The Pacers are projected to score 115. Brogdon, he always has triple-double upside. I don't mind him as a last piece. Miles Turner, he got 8 blocks the first game. I don't think he can do that again consistently, so I don't love him. There's not really any value plays here either just because they're healthy for the most part.
Yeah, what's interesting right now, we actually have Brogdon as the highest projected player in this game.
On Fanduel or DraftKings?
On Fanduel.
Yeah, I don't think these guys make too much sense on Fanduel. I think Sabonis is really good on DraftKings, though.
Like Sabonis. Okay. Let's jump into Chicago. For their injuries, they have questionable Valentine, Ample questionable, and then Thad Young is out, I think, right? 2 games probably? 2 or 3 games. Leg infection. Sounds pretty bad, actually. For their starters right now, we have Kobe White, Zach LaVine, Williams, Markkanen, and Wendell Carter Jr. Do you like any of their main guys? Do you like LaVine?
So LaVine is... Last game, we saw them play. LaVine picked up 4 fouls in the first half, but he was chucking the ball. He had like 15 shots at the half. It was a big blowout, so we can't really put too much value on the last game. I still really like Kobe White. He's always interesting now that he's starting and Satoransky moved to the bench. So I like Kobe White in GPPs. I think Zach LaVine is probably one of my main targets from this game. But there's not really too much else here. They have a 109 projected total. So DraftKings did a good job pricing them up. So yeah, there's not really too much here outside of probably LaVine and White.
Okay. I wanted to ask about Oladipo. Do you think we'll ever see him back at his all-star shape and form at any point? Or do you think his injuries kind of did him in?
I don't think it's his injuries. I think it's more that Brogdon came there and he handles the ball more, and Sabonis has a bigger role in the offense now.
Yeah.
So I think if he had the same role that he had, I think 3 years ago, then he could do that again. But for now, I just think he's priced appropriately.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Ready to jump into the next game? Toronto, San Antonio?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for this game, we can go over San Antonio first. They have the best for last. Toronto, my favorite team. We just have Weatherspoon out for them for San Antonio, and then for their starters right now we have Murray, who you really like, Walker, DeRozan, Johnson, and Aldridge. I guess DeRozan against Toronto could be interesting. I don't know. What do you think here, Chris?
Yeah, so this is one of the best games on the slate, Vegas-wise. San Antonio has a projected total of 113, but the spread is tight, so they should be in there all the way through. I like DeJounte Murray, as you mentioned. He's a little too cheap for me with Derek White out. He has triple-double upside. He gets steals and blocks, so he's always someone that I like to fit into my cash builds. I like his price a little more on DraftKings. He's 6'4" compared to 6'9" on Fanduel. I had him in my lineup the first game. I think he scored like 45 fantasy points, which was nice. So he has a ceiling. He has a pretty decent floor without White there. He's probably my favorite guy in this game. DeMar DeRozan, you mentioned. It's a revenge game, obviously, if you're into that sort of thing. I think I don't know. I probably wouldn't play him. I think he's a little too overpriced for me.
Yeah, I'll say one thing about DeRozan. He does have a thing for actually starting the seasons off really, really hot and then sort of cooling off like he did. I think he averaged like a ridiculous amount of points. Was it 2 years ago or last season? Like he went off.
I think 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he scored 57 fantasy points in their opening game, so he can obviously get there. He passes the ball more than he used to, so he has a lot of assists. So yeah, I don't mind him. Probably only GPP for me though.
Yeah, I think for that reason I'm probably a little interested in him in GPP. We do have an update on Westbrook. He is starting, but I think he might rest on Sunday.
Yeah, so back-to-back tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. And then let's go into Toronto.
Oh, we also got Davis Bertans. He's going to be on the minutes limit today as well, so I don't love him with that. I probably wouldn't touch him anymore.
Does that change anything for you for the rest of the guys on the team?
It probably bumps up Denny a little bit, but he's not a high usage guy, especially with Russ and Beal there.
Yeah.
So not too much, but yeah, I really like Bertans if he wasn't on a minutes limit.
With the limit, you don't like him?
Yeah.
Okay. Over Toronto right now, we just have Patrick McCaw out. And then for their starters right now, we have Lowry projected, Van Fleet, Anunoby, Siakam, and Baines. How do you like the Raptors today? Do you have any interest in any of them?
Yeah, so they have a 115 projected total, it's pretty high. We had some totals in the 105 to 110 range earlier. So this team is really good to target. They only have a few main pieces, meaning Nick Nurse likes to play the starters heavy minutes. Kyle Lowry played 38 in the first game, so I like him a lot. I think he's more interesting on DraftKings. I believe his price is 7.6. Yeah, so I like him in my builds just because of his minutes floor, and it's a decent game environment. Fred VanVleet and Siakam, I don't have too much interest just because they're a little too overpriced for me. If you do want Fred VanVleet, I think he's a better play on FanDuel than DraftKings. Aaron Baines, he's only 4.2 on DraftKings, so I like him at center. He sort of makes lineups work. He lets you get more expensive guys and he's a pretty decent player. He has double-double upside. He has block upside. He can get a few assists. So for 4-2 on DraftKings, I think he's a really good cash building block.
Do you think we'll see one of those games out of him this year where he hits how many threes did he hit last? Like the crazy amount he got? Was it like
I think it was 9.
9 threes for a center? That's crazy. And he was probably like really low priced as well.
So he scored 65 fantasy points that day. But every time he started, he always has like a pretty decent floor, and his price is still too cheap this season. And obviously we know how Toronto likes to run their guys into the ground, so I like him a lot.
Yeah, let's go over the next game, Minnesota at Utah. We can go over Minnesota first. Right now we just have Noel out for them, and that's it. For their projected starters right now, we have D'Angelo Russell, Beasley, Josh Okogie, Layman, and Karl Anthony Towns. Any interest in Towns today or Russell?
So this is my probably second least favorite game, just because the spread is 10 favoring Utah. So I know I don't like to project blowouts, but with how it's been, I don't want to touch this game. It's probably more for GPPs if you think that it can stay close. You were saying Towns and Russell. I don't really love them, just because there's better players in other games. Anthony Edwards, there's not really anyone here that really stands out to me for their price and game environment.
Okay, let's jump into Utah then. Derek Favors probable projected starters right now. We have Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, Bogdanovich, Royce O'Neal, and Rudy Gobert. What do you think?
So Utah, they have the highest single team projected total at 119 of the slate. So the thing is, if they can keep it close, if they get the fourth quarter run, there's probably going to be some of the guys here in the winning lineup. But if they don't keep it close, you probably want to stay away for the most part. Donovan Mitchell, I don't mind him just because he's their main guy. I like him a bit more on FanDuel. He's cheaper there at 7-7.
Yeah.
Gobert, I don't know. Like, he's 7-4 on DraftKings. If you think it stays close, I like him, but I just don't think he gets his full allotment of minutes.
Yeah, and you were saying about the blowout potential here and the game narrative. You said if the game can stay close, you think the starters will be playing in the fourth quarter, and you think they could be in some of the winning lineups. But what about in the case of a blowout? Could you have some of their like lower end guys playing more minutes and kind of getting some good value there in a GPP? Obviously not something you want to focus on in a cash game, but in terms of GPP.
So I don't mind Jordan Clarkson if you're taking that route for this game. Just because maybe he'll play a little bit of garbage time. He likes to shoot the ball a lot. There's not really much else. But yeah, if this game stays close, there's definitely going to be high scores here just because they have the highest total at 119.
Okay, let's move on to a game you're probably a bit more interested in, Houston and Portland. Houston missed was it for just one game or did they miss 2 games?
Houston, yeah, they missed 1 game.
Just one, yeah. So kind of interesting. Yeah, we can go over Houston first. Right now we have Kenyon Martin out, Mason Jones injured, out, Cousins out, Wall out, Eric Gordon out, McLemore out, and yeah, I think a lot of guys out. All of them are out. Any comment on why they're out, Chris?
I think they're in 7-day. I think they were getting a haircut or something, and now they had COVID tracing or something like that. I didn't follow the news too closely, but I think they have to quarantine for 7 days.
Yeah,
mandatory.
Yeah, Cousins was kind of pissed about that on Twitter. Angry emoji.
Yeah.
We can go over their starters right now. We have Harden's projected. Start Brown, Tucker, House, and Christian Wood, who I know you You like him today. What do you think of Harden? What do you think of the Rockets? They're kind of undermanned today. So
Yeah, so because they're undermanned, this is the best team to target players from today. I'm going to put Harden in every lineup I make on both sites. Same as Christian Wood. Just because they have no one else. They have no other ball handlers. Outside of those two guys who are locks for me, I like House on Fanduel. He's 3.7K.
yeah,
He looked good. He always looks good last year when Westbrook was out, he had an increased role. When Harden was out, he had an increased role. So this time, John Wall, Boogie Cousins are out. So I expect him to have the same sort of increased role, even though the players are a little different. He's probably my third favorite guy from this team. Sterling Brown on DK is only 3.2K, so that price stands out for me too. He's probably going to play 30 plus minutes. If you're getting 30 minutes out of a minimum priced guy, you're happy with that. So yeah, those are the main four guys.
okay. Let's go into Portland side of things. For Portland, excuse me. Right now, we just have Little, who's out, and then Simons probable. And then for their starters right now, we have Lillard, McCollum, Jones, Covington, and Nurkic. Do you like these guys today? Any of them?
Yeah, so they have a projected total of 117. The spread is 7.5. So I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but as we've seen this season, we can never really know for sure. So I like Damien Lillard a lot. He's probably one of my favorite plays on FanDuel just because he's only 9K. They had the blowout last game, so some of the prices decreased. So I like Dame a lot. I probably have him as a lock on FanDuel. Nurkic as well. So for the most part, these guys didn't get any fourth quarter run last game outside of CJ McCollum, I think. So if you're looking at their game logs only, it's not pretty, but I think with them having one of the highest totals of the entire slate, and we sort of know that where their production is going to come from, I like targeting their main guys. So Damian Lillard, lock, as I said. Nurkic, I like him as well on FanDuel. He's 7K, so he sort of fits the center position. I think he's a little bit... No, he's also 7K on DraftKings, but I do like the price more on FanDuel just because DraftKings is usually a little cheaper. So I like Nurk. Someone that's minimum price on FanDuel is 3.5K, Derek Jones Jr. His minutes floor is decent. I think that he's like, they want to see what they get from him. So he's their main defender outside of Covington. So if we're getting the minutes from him for minimum price, we like that. I think he's probably a lock on FanDuel. Even though we're not expecting 30 points probably, we're still expecting a floor of probably 30 minutes, which is nice for his price. Yeah, outside of those guys, CJ McCollum, I don't mind him in GPPs, but I never really like to target him in cash games.
Yeah. Okay. And then just in terms of the Rockets, do you want to comment on like this being their first game and I guess them having their actual first game being canceled? Do you think that'll affect them in any way? Have any impact on any of the players? Aside from minutes, obviously, and everyone being out.
I don't think it matters too much. Like, this is similar to what we've seen in the past with Harden getting a crazy amount of shots, getting a crazy amount of usage, and the rest of the guys just sort of standing in the corner.
Yeah.
But with Christian Wood there, I think he'll get probably 15 shots at least. So I'm not worried about the minutes too much here.
Yeah. Is Harden trying to get traded? He doesn't want to be in Houston?
Yeah, I think that's where it's at right now.
Okay. Yeah, let's jump into this last game. Phoenix at Sacramento. We can go over the injuries for Phoenix first. We have Abdel Nader out, Dario Saric injured, and then Frank Kaminsky is probable. Let me just open up projected starters for them. I think so right now for their starters, we have projected Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Bridges, Crowder, and DeAndre Ayton. Chris Paul had a horrible game last time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like any of these guys? Do you like Ayton today or Booker?
Yeah, this is a decent game to target players from. So the Suns have a projected team total of 115, which aligns with some of the better teams on this slate. We know that the production is going to come from the three main guys, Booker, Ayton, and Paul. So that sort of makes it easy for us. But with players that we want to target more, like Harden and Dame, these guys aren't really fitting into my builds. I think Chris Paul is probably a complete fade for me. He only played 27 minutes last game, so they probably want to ramp him up a little just because of the shorter offseason.
Yeah.
Bridges, I talked about him last time. He has steal and block upside, so he's a little more expensive today than last time out, but I don't mind him as a GPP play. Outside of these guys, there's not really too much.
Okay, let's go into Sacramento. In terms of injuries, Jeffries probable, and then Jabari Parker also probable. And then for their projected starters, we have Fox, Buddy Hield, Barnes, Bagley, and Sean Holmes. Do you like any of these players? Do you like Darren Fox today?
Darren Fox, yeah, he's decent. I think he's going to take the next step this year. So they have a projected total of 112. So I don't mind Fox. He's probably not someone I'm jamming into my lineups, but I don't mind him if he just fits in as sort of a last piece. So down low, if we're going down to value players or mid-range players, there isn't too much on this team. There's Buddy Hield. He had the game winner last time out. He played 41 minutes, but 5 of those minutes were in overtime, so he would have played 36 otherwise, which isn't too bad. He's pretty scoring dependent. I like him more on DraftKings just because of the 3-point bonus.
Yep.
He's actually 7-1 on DraftKings, so I wouldn't play him there. All these guys are probably too expensive on DraftKings. But on FanDuel, he's 5'6", which is a decent price at shooting guard. He's probably a viable second shooting guard with James Harden or alongside James Harden. Outside of him, Hassan Whiteside, probably wouldn't touch him. He only played 12 minutes going into overtime, and then I believe Holmes and Bagley fouled out, so he played the rest.
Yep.
So it's pretty clear that they don't want to give him a lot of minutes just because he's a pretty bad player.
Yeah.
So outside of Fox as the last piece, there isn't really anyone here.
Yeah. Okay. Before we continue, we do have a comment. Rajon Rondo joined the chat, and he says CP3 is trash. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, he's pretty bad now.
Okay. I think that's all the games for today. Went through them. What do you want to go through next? Do you want to do have quite a bit of time left over. We can do...
Yeah, we can I guess I can give my core out, and then we can build out a cash team on Fanduel and DraftKings.
Sure. Before we do that, do you want to plug our contest giveaway?
Do you want to do it?
You do it. You're better at it.
Okay, so once we reach 100 YouTube subscribers, we're doing a giveaway for a monthly pass on our site. So all you have to do is click the tweet in the description and read it, retweet it, and then once we reach 100 subs, like I said, we'll give that away. So if you're not subbed, give us a subscribe, like the video,
thumbs up,
bell
button, all notifications.
Yeah, we gotta say that more often.
Yeah, I mean 100 is not that much. We should be able to get it soon, so someone should be a winner soon.
Yeah, I think you have to plug it a little more. I think I've been the only one plugging it.
Well, yeah, I'm just getting used to like calling out the games and having everything on my screen open, so I think I'll get a bit better at it. Just bear with me for a bit. Okay, so do you want to go through FanDuel first or DraftKings?
Up to you. You're the host.
Let's just go with Fanduel. We can do that, and then we can go position by position.
Yeah, sure. But you have to reset your filters. You have guys with minimum exposure settings.
Oh yeah. Harden, Lillard, Wood. Yeah.
So I guess we can start with my first lock. It's Damien Lillard. I was talking about him earlier. He's just too cheap at 9K with the second highest team total. Yeah, so he's probably in all of our top 10 optimals. So yeah, he's the first guy. James Harden I talked about. He's the second guy. I don't really need to explain why he's James Harden without John Wall and Boogie. So my third lock is actually probably Christian Wood. He was the guy on the thumbnail today.
Cover player.
So he has the same sort of thing going on as Harden, where they're the two main guys on that team. They have no one else who's really a usage monster.
Yeah, and Christian Wood is by far the highest projected ownership player we have right now.
Yeah, and then the last guy that sort of the value guy is Danwell House, just because he's 3.7K. Right now, we only have 5.5 remaining in our build, but if we lock in House, I think it'll be around 6K. So yeah, 5.9K. Yeah, so these four guys are my Fanduel locks.
Yeah.
And then I guess we can build out some teams and see some differences between optimals.
Okay. Should we write a message in the Discord for the locks? Or can we just do that later on?
Yeah, I can do that later.
Yeah, let's do that later on. Okay, building up the lineups. Let's see. Yeah.
You're building 40?
Yeah, that's too many actually. But,
Okay, so with these guys locked in, we have the main difference between the first and second build is Derek Jones and Baisley versus Okoro and Bogdanovic. So if we're looking between those two teams, the first one, so when I'm deciding between 2v2s like this, I try to look at who I think will get more minutes, who I think is in the better role for their price relative to their price. So I talked about Derek Jones a lot earlier. I think they want him on the floor for defensive reasons. So I think he has a pretty high floor for minutes.
Yep.
Baisley I also talked about. He was really good in the bubble. So yeah, I like the first side of this 2v2 more. If you could just collapse this so I can see the next one. Yeah. So Okoro and Bogdanovic, we have Bogdanovic popping in a lot at power forward too. So I don't mind it, but I don't love playing Okoro, especially with Kevin Love back. I think he takes away some of the usage. Obviously, Bogdanovic is a really solid play. I think he's 4.6K. So I don't mind him. Yeah, so I like the first team. That's probably what I'm going to roll out for cash unless we get some breaking news.
First team, yeah. And if you look at the top 40, like we built 40 lineups here, you look at the players card, which just shows you what you actually got. Chris was saying he doesn't like Okoro that much, and you can actually see that he's one of the lower actual percentage players for this build here. Whereas someone like, you said you like Jones, right? Jones.
Yeah. He's 37.5.
Yeah, 37. So it's quite a bit higher, so something you can always look at too.
Yeah, so yes, that's what I like for Fanduel. I guess we can move on to DraftKings.
Let's see if there's any questions. Brazilian KD gonna get some minutes tonight? Caboclo, ex-Toronto
Luna?
player. Good GPP play. Question mark.
Think so? Oh, I don't know. I think he's still 2 years away from being 2 years away. I think, no, but in all seriousness, I think he's just fine because of the minutes floor, but he's not going to have the ball a lot. He's not going to take a lot of shots, so I don't love him as someone, as a main piece, but if he's your last piece, I don't mind it at all.
Yeah. And then we had another question about someone's 2v2, but that's the one you went over in our top 2 lineups here, so I guess we can jump right into DraftKings here.
So for DraftKings, my first lock is James Harden. Same reason as Fanduel. He's just too cheap for what we expect. And then you're on the Cavs and Detroit game. So, and then Christian Wood, same thing as Fanduel. And then instead of House, I guess you can. I'm not sure why Westbrook is there.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah, so Harden and Christian Wood.
Yep.
Same as Fanduel. And then instead of House, we're going to go with Sterling Brown on DraftKings just because of the pricing. He's only 3.2. So I like that price a lot just for the minutes and just because they don't have many guys out there. So we got the 3 Rockets. We can probably just build with that core and see what happens.
And if you guys have any other questions, we can go over them now. If there's anything else.
Okay,
Ooh, I like this Kyle Lowry.
So we got some players that I was talking about when we went over the games. So in the first lineup, the difference between the two is Kyle Lowry, Al Horford. Yeah, Kyle Lowry and Al Horford versus Murray and Hayward.
Yep.
So my thought process here is I'm looking at the minutes floor or the minutes that I think these guys will get. I think that's actually a pretty tough 2v2. I like Lowry. He's probably going to play around 38 minutes. I like Horford. He's in the OKC offense. I think he's 6.1K on DraftKings, which is too cheap.
Mm-hmm.
But I was also talking about Murray on DraftKings. What's his price? I think he's 6'4", 6'5".
It's 6'4".
Yeah, so this is a pretty tough 2v2. I think you can just keep both expanded for now.
Let me just move our...
You can leave it. I think it's okay. Because the difference is on the left side of the screen.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So, what do you think about this 2v2 here?
For cash?
Yeah.
I mean...
So Lowry and Horford versus Murray and Hayward.
Lowry and Horford. Hayward.
Yeah. Wait, Lowry and Horford versus Murray and Hayward.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when in doubt, for cash, you always try to look at projected ownerships, right? If it's more or less the same here, I'd probably look at how much of each player our optimizer spits out, and then kind of decide from there. And then you said this before, but whenever you're in doubt, you usually like to go with the projections. You trust the projections. So
yeah,
but
I think that the first side makes more sense in cash just because we get the underprice on Horford, and then whereas for Gordon Hayward, we're sort of paying the price that he should be.
Yeah.
And then Murray, he's underpriced. I think Lowry is a little underpriced too. So I think 2 guys in the first build are underpriced, whereas only Murray is underpriced in the second 2v2. So I like the first side.
Okay. Yeah, some questions. Billy Kid on YouTube's asking for tournaments with Westbrook and Bryant be good correlation. And then
Yeah, for sure. I think Bryant got in early foul trouble last time he was going up against Embiid, so he usually gets in foul trouble when they play each other. I think if you're doing that stack, it makes sense to run it back with someone from Orlando. So someone like Vucevic, if you're doing it on DraftKings where you can get both centers. If you're playing on FanDuel, I like Markelle Fultz as a bring back in that lineup, just because I think if Orlando keeps it close and it's a tight game, I think Fultz has upside for a triple-double. So yeah, I would bring it back with Gordon, Fultz, or Vucevic.
Okay. I just want to highlight one feature of our optimizer is that, like, when you're going through the lineups that it builds, you can actually quickly, if you expand a lineup, you can actually, like, if you want to see the next optimal down without a player or two, you can just expand this and then unselect player and then just click build here, and then it'll quickly give you one other option here with all the other guys that you have.
Let's say you don't like Sterling Brown and Kyle Lowry, yeah. So just uncheck those two, and then if you hit build, you'll be able to see what the best optimal build is without those two guys. So it's what's the difference there? It's Murray and it's Terrence Ross. So obviously the first team, the original team, is better for cash, but it's just something you can look at if you don't like a specific guy.
Yep. Okay, and then I think we have one more question. Do you like Hayward, or I guess it's 3 questions, but do you like Hayward, Graham, or Bridges for tournaments?
Do we know what site this is for?
No, but let's just go with FanDuel.
So Hayward, Bridges, and who?
Hayward, Graham, and Bridges.
I like Hayward the most out of those 3. Not really interested in Bridges or Graham. I think Hayward, if this game is close and if it shoots out, I think Hayward has a big part of that. So I like Hayward, yeah. I don't mind Hayward in GPPs, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was FanDuel.
Oh, it was FanDuel?
Yeah, didn't you do FanDuel?
No, I was sort of more talking about DraftKings.
Do you want to
I
just
like
quickly cover it?
Graham is only 5'4" on FanDuel, so I don't mind that. And then Bridges, he's 4'3". I think guys like House, guys like what's his name, Derek Jones Jr., I think make more sense at small forward. So I don't love Bridges, but I like Graham at 5'4" at shooting guard, and then yeah, Graham's probably my favorite guy on FanDuel out of that group, just because Hayward is also a small forward.
Yep. Okay, and then we kind of went over this at the start of the show, but do you think LaMelo's going to get more than 60 minutes today?
So we might have went over it when my mic was breaking up. So I think the reason LaMelo got 16 minutes could be because he was playing poorly, but it could also be because Terry Rozier was absolutely on fire. So I think maybe if Rozier isn't as hot as he was, he doesn't play 37 minutes. Probably plays around 32 to 34. Yep. So maybe LaMelo would fit into those extra minutes. But still, that would be around probably 20 minutes, 20 to 24, which I don't love. He's 4.7 on FanDuel, which is an okay price. Obviously, he has upside, but he also has a pretty low floor, as we saw in the first game. He only scored 8 fantasy points.
Okay, I think that's it for questions. No more right now.
Yes.
Go over anything else, or is that it? Wrap it up.
No, I think that's good.
All right. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. Check out our giveaway, where all you have to do is subscribe to our YouTube and then like and retweet our Twitter pinned tweet on our profile, DFS Crunch. And then once we reach 100 subscribers, we'll give away 1 month subscription. So even if you're a member already and you're already subscribed and paying, we'll just give you a free month, so anyone can participate. And other than that, good luck tonight. We'll be in Discord if there's any more news, answering any
If there's
questions.
any news leading up to lock, we'll talk about it in the Discord. I don't think we're waiting on anything, so I think everything that we talked about should remain
Valid.
viable. Yeah, valid. And yeah, hopefully everyone has a good day and we don't have too many blowouts today.
Yeah, okay. Be sure to tune in tomorrow. We'll be back before main slate as well. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in. See you guys next time.